Hello there, folks.
Hi there!
So it seems that we're magically in the same place.
It's the magic of video editing.
Yeah, and not editing. We're not in the same place. It's a hologram on my side here, and it's his hologram. And yeah, that's a weird stuff, anachrony stuff. So this is top 10. This is 10 to 1.
Huzzah!
I'm gonna join Kyle. I'm gonna do a combined list. I mean, like not combined list. We're gonna do our own list.
He did promise we'd do it together.
Yes. And so Kyle flew me all the way to US
on my back.
We
were playing Wingspan.
Yes. So we could do the list, and that's the perfect opportunity for us right now. And also, I'm a little bit sorry for the sound because I don't have any special mics on us here. I didn't bring any mics, but it's still fine because you're gonna see and hear what games we have to offer.
Hopefully,
as a top 10, yeah. But so my top 10 has changed quite a bit.
Mine has two
new games.
My top 10 is a little bit more static, although some things have moved up into it and some things have moved a little bit out of it.
Yeah,
it's not a huge change, I think, for me.
So I looked. I had it was kind of a year ago. We made it with Würfel cast, and I was like, I made my top 30 a little bit later, like 11 months, 12, like a year ago almost, basically. And I have it's 5 new entries in my list.
There you go.
Not like totally new games, but at least in my top 10. And I'm gonna compare them with my older.
Oh, I forgot to do that, but I did make a list of 100 games, so I guess you'll have to forgive me.
That's fine. Yeah. So, without further ado, let's just start with number 10.
Number 10.
So, Kyle, you start.
Number 10 is a brand new game. It is, I think... So, one thing is there's a game that might have been in the number 10 slot had I made this list a little bit later than when I did. So this game that's here is probably my favorite game of 2019, although another game is rivaling it that doesn't appear on the list. The game is a perfect game for me. It is called Unmatched. This is a game in which you take various characters that are unmatched and have them fight each other. It's a deterministic combat through cards. There's a lot of tactical movement. It's a sort of a head-to-head game. I don't like it with 4. I tried it that way, but I didn't like it with 4. But I love it as a head-to-head game. And I have all the expansions to date, which is the base game, and then there's 3 other fighters you can buy separately. And I'm looking forward to the Dracula and Mr. Hyde set that comes out next year, and Jurassic Park and Buffy, and everything else that they have planned. I just love this game. It's probably my most played 2019 game, and it overwhelmed me, and I just love it. Unmatched, my number 10.
And it's a 2-player game.
It is best at a 2-player game.
Okay, I got it. Because I've never played this one, and
I know where you can change that.
Where? Oh, yeah, we're gonna be on the cruise.
Yeah.
The recording is the day before the cruise.
That's true. It is.
No, but the video is going to go up somewhere
later
in February. Yes. Well, all right. That's a nice 10. Let's go to my top 10. My number 10, and it's an older game. Not so old, but it's a game that has a little bit of controversy. I mean, a lot of controversy recently, or when one of the stories ended with the cycle, and I'm talking about Time Stories. So, and we're talking about the White Cycle. That the ending was crab cake, the worst crab cake you could ever eat. But that was really bad. But I still love the experience. One of the best things I like in board games is the exploration mechanic, exploration story, exploring the story through different scenarios. I love that. I love that very much in Time Stories, and that's where I think it shines. And that's where I can see, I can look through all those negatives, like resetting the game. I didn't like that. I got the new set now, the Blue Cycle. The first Hadel project was the first scenario for the Blue Cycle with the experience. I'm gonna try that out. I haven't tried it yet, so maybe it will renew and make it even better. We don't know. But I still love Time Stories. I'm still looking forward to every Time Story scenario that's coming out. So
Yeah, I played the first 3 scenarios. I mean, I shotgunned those with 2 of my friends from Eastern Europe, and then I never touched it again. And now that I think about it, I'm just not really interested in going back. So I think that one's kind of dead for me. But I hope the new stuff is rejuvenating for you.
Yeah, yeah, true that. And so my previous top 10 game was Rising Sun, by the way. I just mentioned.
I have that game.
Oh, you do. A big box over there. So, anyway, so let's go to number 9.
Number 9. Number 9 is a game that has been higher in the top 10, but has always been in the top 10 since I've been doing top 10s, I think. I hope. I don't remember. It is a game that is... There's a couple of different iterations of it. It is... this is, I think, my favorite currently, although the newer one might replace it at some point. The game is Imperial Settlers. And it is a fine little engine building game. You've got several different civilizations. They all work differently. You've got a common deck and an individual deck, and you're playing cards, taking actions, using resources, maximizing your special abilities, trying to get as many points as possible. The other 2 versions are, of course, 51st State, which I do really like, and Empires of the North, which I also really like. I just haven't played it enough to be sure whether it surpasses regular Imperial Settlers. But for me, currently, right now, it's base game Imperial Settlers with, of course, all of the expansions that are available.
Yeah, I played it. I liked it quite much, but I was concerned a little bit with the balance between the decks and maybe the winning strategies and so on. So I was as enamored with the game as you do, but it's still a good game, a good choice, and I think the Empires of the North has replaced Imperial Settlers for quite a few folks already, as I heard.
So Empires of the North, it might do it for me eventually, but I just love some of the factions from the basic Imperial Settlers so much. So, you know, if you took it and compared it with 51st State, which is an interesting comparison because 51st State, you've got only one common deck.
Yeah.
So all the factions are inherently balanced with some slight special abilities. In Imperial Settlers, Empires of the North, you've got only individual decks. So, you know, it's entirely asymmetrical. Whereas this one is a nice combination of the two. So you've got some sort of common resources and some special sort of just for you resources that can inform your strategy. And I like that. But again, the other 2 are... I don't put the other 2 on my list. They sort of all share the same spot for me. But for me right now, especially because of the Aztecs and Amazons, I haven't seen them replace anything in the basic Imperial Settlers. Or sorry, in the new version yet. So at least for now, regular Imperial Settlers is my favorite.
I think it's once you get the expansions, maybe it'll be something else. But my number 9 is a new game on the list, though it's a reincarnation kinda, at least for me, of the older game that was on my list, quite high on my list a few years ago. And I'm talking about Living Planet here. Yes, and there's the all-in-one version that I got that has all the expansions. I haven't even played all the expansions, but I've read the rules. I'm extremely excited about all the expansions. It feels like those expansions will make it Archipelago 2.0, exactly like I wanted it to be, because it is a spiritual successor. People can argue with me, but Living Planet is like Archipelago with, like kind of different rules, kind of different mechanics, but it's like Blood Rage and Rising Sun. It kind of feels like
a fair comparison.
There are similarities to that, So, but in Living Planet, I really do like exploring the planets, and it's a hostile planet, and cataclysms always happen, and
it's guaranteed to blow up.
Yes. It's guaranteed to blow up, and you want to get the most out of this planet. It kind of feels like our nowadays usual planet thing, like we hear, we're going for the resources, and money and everything. I like the stock market thing over there in Living Planet. I like building those different buildings, controlling them, and also it's just a nice. The dice mechanic. That's the central part. I like the dice mechanic here because you don't roll the dice, but you choose the face of the die. Each player chooses the face of the die, and you just reveal that, and then based on those faces, there are so many things that trigger. It depends on so many things, and so many things depends on that.
To be clear, you choose it based on a card. You have
Yes.
a hand of 6 cards, and
Yes.
you choose which one.
Yeah. And sometimes you can have that special ability in a card as well as being a leader. So it has a very cool choices, which I just adore, even in the base game already.
Yeah.
So, and the more I play it, the more I like it. Living Planets is gonna be a bigger hit for me once I get the expansions in. I'm sure about that.
I've played it a few times now. I enjoy Living Planet. I don't know. So for me, it comes down to the thing I loved and hated most about Archipelago, which was the sort of secret end game conditions, which Living Planet does not have.
Yeah.
And I loved that you didn't quite know how the game was going to end, but I hated teaching that.
Yes.
Because if somebody wasn't paying attention, it could ruin the game. So it's sort of a push and pull for me, and I think I come out neutral. I'll have to play a little bit more Living Planet and try it with its expansions.
Yeah. So, but my number 9 previous year was Chronicles of Crime.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Let's go to number 8.
Number 8 is one of your top 10 games. It's probably one of your top 5.
You sure about that?
Yes, this is a game about driving cattle through the Midwest. The game is called Great Western Trail.
Sure it is.
It has the best artwork, the best theme.
Oh yeah, sure.
I love Great Western Trail. It is, although I've been playing a ton of Maracaibo lately, I still think I like Great Western Trail better. And I like it with its expansion too. It just has everything for me. It has sort of the deck building aspect, which you can focus on. You can focus on getting the different workers and filling up your board. You can focus on moving up and collecting all these special bonus scoring tiles. It's not particularly well themed, although for this type of game, it's definitely, I mean, it's sort of a unique theme. You know, it's not sailing around the Mediterranean delivering goods. Instead, it's driving, cattle to Kansas City. Why not? The expansion adds a little bit more, a few different things to do, but even when you add the expansion, you're not forced into it. You could ignore it and just play the basic game, or you could go and explore it, which of course I always want to do because I want to try new shiny things.
Yeah.
I love Great Western Trail. It's a game that definitely rewards people who put a lot of time into learning it. The first game you play with somebody that knows the game, if you're new to it, it'll be the person will double or triple your score. But after you've made that initial investment and kind of learned how it works, it's so smooth, it's fast. It's one of the few games that I like with the full player count.
Mm-hmm.
I love Great Western Trail. It was on my list last time, I know that. I think it might have been a place or two higher, but I don't think it's going anywhere for me.
Yeah, I've seen that trail.
But you've not walked it.
I've not walked it. I don't feel like playing that game because I don't feel like it's such a great Western Trail.
Well, I think it's worth your time. I know it does not look like the best game, but it is fantastic, and it really rewards you if you get into it.
Yeah, lately I've been trying to play the games that I ignored before, but mostly...
But not Concordia and Great Western Trail?
Yeah, but it seems that I'm mostly right about those games that I ignore, because I just feel like they're not my taste, though they're good games usually. Alright, so my number 8, and I think this is the first time that this game has appeared in my top 10. It has been lower on the list, or higher on the list, let's say. Or lower, I think, to say. The bigger number, it's in my top 20. Let's say it has been in my top 20 or something like that, but not in my top 10. And that's one of the most beautiful games out there. That's Abyss. And Abyss was risen for me because it got the second expansion, the Leviathan expansion, which basically excludes the monster track and then includes the Leviathans that you get new allies cards, and you can use those allies to fight Leviathans. It's very simple fight. It's just kind of like a set collection aspect over there, but it adds so much to that monster track, or instead of the monster track. And the new lords, you have such a huge variety of different lords now, and that manipulate that and that and that, and you can use the Leviathan is also like a strategy itself, and I love that combination of that. Now you have yet another strategy you can pursue, and the game overall is about collecting allies, then exchanging the allies for the lords, and then getting the locations, and all of these things score you points, and that's what are the most maximizing. And the pearls, they're nice, and the second expansion, the first expansion, the Kraken with the black pearls, it just adds so much, because it's so you try to be so sneaky to smuggle the black pearls to another player by paying like your last pearl or something like that, and those different miniatures going back and forth, those minus and plus points and so on. So Leviathan adds also that.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, the combination with 2 expansions makes this game a complete game now.
Yeah.
It's also a complete game with kind of no flaws for me. It's a perfect mid-weight, beautiful card-based set collection engine building, tableau building game.
I love Abyss. I believe it was on my list a little earlier, a couple of videos ago. The only problem with Abyss, first of all, I haven't played the second expansion, the Leviathan, yet. I'd love to someday. We'll see. The one problem with it is that the writing on the cards is a little bit too small to see from the other side of the table. And that is a little bit of, I mean, that if you're sitting in a room with maybe not so good lighting, or if you're at a bigger table, it can be difficult, and there's maybe a lot of repeating, you know, what does this card do? What does that card do? It's a small issue, not a problem with the game. I do wish the writing were a little bit bigger.
Yeah, true. I agree with that. Though, it depends if you never play with 5 players. I'd say that. It's.
Have you met me?
Yeah. I like it with
5 players doesn't
but
exist.
I love it more with 3 players. I think that's the best way, because there's so much. You know, one thing that was a nuisance, that you turn over the card and you have to offer it to everyone, and with 3 players it's boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And that's my number 8, Abyss, and my previous number 8 was Time Stories. So Time Stories has fallen a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're ready for number 7.
Number 7, yes.
Number 7 is a huge game. I see a piece for it behind our cameraman. That's a yellow bracelet right there. But let's see if the cameraman will. Well, never mind. The cameraman is. It's in a package with a lot of things. This is a garish, brightly colored game that I have gotten lots and lots of upgraded pieces for. It's a game that takes up way too much space. It's a game that is a great economic-y game that's sort of, oh look, my Fast Pass has arrived. The game is Dinosaur Island. And I love this game. This is one of the best games that's out there, obviously, because I obviously like it. It's in my top 10. I like it with its expansion. I love the expansion. I like it as a solo game. I like it with 2. I like it with 3. I don't like the short game. I always recommend playing with the medium game, because the short game is just too short. But there's just so much to explore there. There's so many things to do, so many different things to try. You can build big dinosaurs. You can build a super secure park. You can not care about security and just hope not too many people get eaten. There's just so much to do, and there's different goals in every game, and those help guide you as what you're doing. The expansion has special abilities and sort of your own special buildings that you can build, and that helps guide you a little bit if you were a little bit concerned. And there's a card that you can try and complete with putting different dinosaurs in different positions. A lot of different things to try with it. I love Dinosaur Island. I have it in a huge wooden crate now. And I also bought little painted dinosaurs to represent all the dinosaurs in the game that I still need to put in the box. I haven't played with those yet because I'm worried they won't fit. But I love Dinosaur Island. I'll wear my Fast Pass today. And it's been in my top 20 for a while. I don't know if it was in my top 10 last time or not. I didn't check. But it's certainly in my top 10 this time.
Okay. I haven't played this one. I would like to play it. I don't like the colors. I don't like the graphical design. But
at least in this case, it was a choice.
Yes,
it's not.
I do understand.
It was somebody's idea going for a certain aesthetic, and I mean it's a little bit garish, but I really do enjoy it.
Oh, garish! It's one of the most used words in recent Dice Towers top 100. If you
it definitely describes the colors in
Mike
this game.
was using that garish all the time, but he used it
incorrectly.
I don't know. That was a positive word.
Very well.
All right. So
it's not a positive word; it's a negative word. But
for him, it was positive.
Oh.
Maybe I don't understand English. Okay, so
never mind.
Never mind. Yes. So my number 7 is a game that I've been talking about a lot, and I've played it quite a few times again recently, because I don't know, it just keeps getting on the table, and people keep asking for the game once they play it at least once, and it gives you many loves, and It's just an amazing game. Next, Stockpile. Stockpile is a great stock market, simple stock market game. With the expansion, of course. I don't use all the modules. I'm not so keen on the bonds, and so the commodity cards are fine. I can include them, but usually when I play with new players, I just include the new dice, because the dice give you variety of the different stocks go up and down and pay dividends and so on. But it's such an amazing game of just collecting the different shares and selling and buying them at the right time and speculating. You have the partial information, other person has the partial information, you look at what is selling and so on, and you bid on those cards, which are also partially face down, partially face up. You don't know what's inside. I always like to risk, and I love to bid on the piles which have more face down cards. Just because I love to do that. I like to see what's inside. I love exploring in games, and that's exploring as well. And I usually lose because of that, but a lot of taxes coming up. But it's still it's a great thing, and never play without the dice at least. Yeah, the dice, the extra.
I wouldn't say never play, although I do prefer it with those. You know, it's still fine even without them, especially if you're just learning and you haven't played with the same cards the full time. But I like Stockpile too. It was my number 28. I just checked that.
The two sides of the board, the other one, which is advanced board.
Oh, yeah, I always use that.
Yeah, never use the usual board.
And I always use the special abilities.
Yeah.
And I have not played with the newest expansion. I think it's downstairs, unless I brought it up to put it away, and I haven't managed that. Yeah. But I
want to get it. Definitely want to try this out. Maybe it's too convoluted, as I saw in the.
We'll see.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's the game I didn't want to try. I lost a bet to you, and I had to buy it. I had to try it, and I was like, no, never try it. It looks so dumb. And then I played it. And I was like, wow, it's an amazing game.
It is
one of those rare cases. One of the biggest surprises ever I had in board gaming. So that's number 7, Stockpile, and my previous number 7 was Santorini.
All right. Well, we're moving on to number 6.
Yes.
Number 6 is one of those spots where a game has different versions, and I'll just pick the version that I like the best, and that is the original version with all of its expansions.
Munchkin?
No, the game is Clank.
Okay, Clank.
I like Clank in Space, and I really liked Clank Legacy. I had a great time playing that, but I think when all is said or done, basic Clank is the most accessible. It has the most expansions, which I like because, you know, you can play with a different board with a couple of small rules without really changing the game that much. I just love I think it's the best deck building game that there is, even better than Great Western Trail, obviously. And it's you know, the theme works, the sort of the story you're telling, the abandoning people in a dungeon, sort of, you know, egging someone on to go down for a big treasure and then sort of slipping out really quickly because you've got just the right cards to burn your way through. Doesn't always work though. Sometimes that person gets out and wins. It works with so many people. It's a lot of fun. I've never really had a bad game, except maybe at the beginning when I didn't understand, when I had misread some of the rules. But as it is now that I know what I'm doing, I love Clank, and I love all of its iterations, but the base game, that does it for me still.
Yeah, that's definitely a great choice, great game. Not on my list, but because I haven't played it in a while. I played it last time, played it on the previous cruise a year ago. I really like it, but I have a small kind of a, rule that I don't include games that I don't have on my shelf. So all the games that are here are on my shelf as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I should get Clank back to my collection. Definitely. I had to kind of abandon it.
You abandoned it in the basement of the dungeon?
It wasn't really. Yeah, it was partially not really my choice.
It died below the ground?
Yeah. But yeah, definitely I should get. I was thinking about getting Clank Legacy.
Clank Legacy is a lot of fun. And it's fully replayable. You know, the only reason, I mean, I might like it better. I liked Clank Legacy better at some points just because of the story than regular Clank. But I think just if somebody were coming over, I don't know that I'd get down Clank Legacy, just because there's maybe a little bit more there, and there's sort of the story that other people don't have. Whereas regular Clank tells the story by itself.
I have a certain crowd, which I know who I will play this one with. So.
No. Well, I mean, it's definitely as a legacy game, it's definitely worth your time.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So my number 6 is a game that I thought was on my list, but it wasn't. I don't know why. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, so this is an engine building game. One of my favorite engine building games, and a rather not so beautiful game. Not so much art in it. Maybe you can guess that one. It
An
has
ugly engine builder?
yeah, engine builder with buildings and some Western theme.
Oh, the one I didn't want to play yesterday.
Yes, that you should play with the expansion because it's amazing.
Find it again.
It's Homesteaders. Yes,
Mhm.
that's you probably guessed it. So, Homesteaders, an amazing older game. It's 2009 release, and then they got the reprint with the 2019 reprint 10 years later. So with the expansion adds the events and some extra stuff, and it's just the expansion adds the variety, a little more variety that this game needed very much. But it's a great engine building game where you get the first buildings in, and from those you get like some worker spots as well. The worker placement is very minimalistic there, but basically you're getting the buildings so you can get more resources, then you convert stuff into better resources and then get better buildings and so on, and eventually score most points. And all of that is made like the choices through the bidding as well. But the bidding is very easy, very accessible bidding. So I just love how streamlined of a engine building game it is. It's just hard for me to describe it. You have to play it. Yeah, that's how it is. You build up.
I remember liking it. I have a game. I have a copy around here somewhere, but it's probably in a pile of games in my closet. I just don't know where it is. I haven't even opened the new expansion, although I did buy it, so I guess there's that.
I hope to play it on the cruise because I really want to play it on the cruise. And I know one person who was like, "Oh, I like your taste in gaming, so you should show me a few more games." So I was like, "Good, I'm probably gonna show him Homesteaders."
Does that person live in the mirror?
Yeah, kinda. But anyway, so number 6, Homesteaders, and my previous number 6 was Stockpile, by the way.
Okay.
So it's fallen a little bit. So let's go to
Well,
5.
I told a lie a few minutes ago. I said that Clank was the best deck building game, but then I checked my list and I remembered that there was another one I like even better. And that is my number. We're on 5, right?
We are on 5.
We're on 5. My number 5 is Aeon's End.
You shock me. You shock me. How dare you put Aeon's End?
I really like Aeon's End. Aeon's End.
Oh yeah.
I've liked it all the way since the beginning, and every time I play it, it goes up for me. It's one of those games that I will set up and I will play game after game after game. I played through the Legacy. I loved the Legacy. I played through the base game and the first expansion. I loved those. And the newest expansion allows you to create a Legacy-style campaign, sort of a randomly generated Legacy-style campaign. Yeah, New Age. It's the one that came out this year.
Yeah.
And but it allows you to sort of create a Legacy-type progress, and the bad guys get harder, and you get special abilities as you go. But then to reset it and then try it again with a different lineup of bad guys. So it sort of adds that story if you want that as well. I just love this game. It is a deck building game. I just didn't think of it as I was saying that I liked Clank, but I love Aeon's End, and it's a game that I just could play more and more. I'm wishing there's an app for it now, and that's great, but there are only 4 bad guys on it, and I think it needs an update.
Yeah.
So, but with the tabletop version, there's so much content there, and even the Legacy piece, I don't replay the story. That wouldn't be very much fun. But the baddies that you get from there, you can put those right in too, other than one. And I've played with I love playing Aeon's End, and I'm always in the mood for it.
Yeah. I played Aeon's End. I really liked it. You can say like your favorite competitive deck building game is Clank, and your
favorite cooperative one is
Aeon's
End. That's fair.
Yeah, because these are different.
Well, they definitely feel different.
Yeah, there's the Shadow Rift as well, which is I think cooperative. There are quite a few cooperative deck building games and quite a few competitive ones, and they feel really different. And Aeon's End was lacking something for me. It wasn't enough for me because I was like, I always compare games in my head, and I was like, oh, I feel like Clank should be instead of Aeon's End in my collection, so That's where I'm aiming.
And so now you have neither.
I want to buy Clans back, and I sold Aeon Sand eventually because it wasn't enough for me. It wasn't enough, sadly. And my favorite deck building game is Valley of the Kings. Still,
Which you also don't have.
I have it. So I have the premium version. I sold the previous ones to get the premium one with bigger cards. So and it's a really good game, but not on my top 10.
Very well.
Anyway, let's go to my number 5, and my number 5 is another engine building game, Euro game, quite heavy one. That's the one that you got the expansion for today.
Oh.
Yes, and that's the Underwater Cities. And Underwater Cities is a perfect match for me. That's love of my life, basically. Yeah. No, I mean, like, this game is about building. Literally building up. Building your underwater city and the tunnels and things, and you're scoring points for that, and you're building those different laboratories and whatever, the farms and so on, so greeneries. So you build all of that. You have the worker placement, which is quite interesting with many choices and tight worker placement, to be honest. And also you have the card play, and you have to kind of combine the worker placement with the card play, so you match the colors, so you get a kind of a boosted action or boosted turn, which is great. I love that. I love to kind of find the combinations between the worker spot and the card, and then between the different cards they put out, and some of them are action cards that you use once, some of them are different cards that are passive cards, and some of them are like one-time use cards, and it has so much variety of different combinations of cards you can have. And this is tableau building and engine building, plus building itself, plus kind of discovering the deck as you go. And it's just a perfect match of a Euro game for me, and I love it to the bits, and I really want to get the newest, the only expansion, which gives you those recessed
supposedly
boards.
I've got a copy, but I haven't really opened it yet.
It sounds cool though.
Oh, I think it sounds fantastic. I love Underwater Cities. It was earlier on my list as well. I just really like it, and I'm thinking that the expansion is going to make me like it even more, so I can approve. In fact, I think you played that the first time with me last year on the cruise.
Yeah, or a year before even.
No, it came out. It would have been last year because that's when it came out.
Was it 2008?
It came out the end of 18.
Oh, the end of 18. Okay.
Came out at S18, and I had it on the cruise.
Oh yeah, and I also played with 2 games. As said, yeah, it was Underwater Cities and Mitigation. And Mitigation isn't on my list because I played only once on the cruise, and though I think I will love it.
Yep.
But
I like Mitigation too.
So my number 5, Underwater Cities, and my previous number 5 was Mission Red Planet.
Okay.
It was a great game.
Are we ready for number 4?
Yes.
Now, my number 4 is going to be very predictable, unfortunately. The top 4 are going to be fairly predictable, I think. My number 4 is another game that I'm always in the mood for. It is a game that has lots of expansions. It is a game that comes in a legendary box now. It's a game that I paid way too much money for painted figures for. The game is, of course, Scythe. I can't really say anything more. I love playing this game. It thrills me to no end. I love playing it I don't like playing it with a lot of people. I've seen some people who play it with 7 people, and the thought of that causes my heart to break. I like it best with 2 or 3. Some people say that's not the ideal way, but I think it is, because then your reactions are always directly impacting your opponent. I like all of the factions. I like most of the expansions. I wasn't a huge fan of the Wind Gambit, but the others were fantastic. I have played it hundreds of times, quite literally. I'm hoping that it someday comes out on the on an app so that I can play it on the go. But even if it doesn't, I love playing Scythe. I loved playing the story version, but I just love playing the basic game. With, of course, some of the factions, some of the expansion modules now thrown in. Why not? But it's my number 4. I know it was in my top 10 last year, and I can't really see it going anywhere.
Yeah. I played with 5, and the 5 was a little bit too much for me, so I was like, no, 4 stops. And I played through the modular expansion, the Rise of Fenris, with 3 players, and yeah, it was a great thing. So anyway, the Scythe itself is a great game. So it's time to, it's like my top of the list, top 4 games. It's time to shock some people, shock you maybe. My number 4 is a game that was higher on my list previously for many years, but it seems like I'm just. It's like you kind of love something for the rest of your life. Like you can maybe, but it's a rare case. Love something for the rest of your life, and then the taste changes, especially in gaming, and it just you start getting tired of some games, even though they're great, but you still get tired. And I'm talking about Cyclades here,
Okay.
Cyclades or whatever. It was my number 1 game for many years. And I still love the game. It's number 4. And it's an amazing game about the Greek mythology. I love Greek mythology. I love that the monsters come for you, come to your aid for like a turn. But with the expansion, the Hades expansion that quite a few people haven't played. I think many people skipped Hades expansion. All they talk about is the Cyclades base game and then talk about how Titans changed the game and made it better. No, I like Titans less because I like to have the separate islands and less conflict. Titans gave me too much conflict, but I got the you can use, I talked to Bruno Catella before, you can use some of the modules from Titans and also the monuments, the small expansion. You can use all of this in the archipelago type, the base game map, and I just love bidding and money being a very tight resource, and being the basic money is basically the game. Yeah, you do all the things with the money.
It's like life.
And Hades expansion is great for me because many people have skipped it, but it gives those secondary gods that you can, if you're third on a place, you can get a small bonus or something like that. You can keep with a special card, the priestess card. You can keep the monsters for longer. You have heroes as well now, and heroes give you opportunity to build metropolis as well. So it just an amazing, balanced, beautiful game with a good portion of conflict, but not too much of that. Quite a few Euro elements thrown in as well. Yeah, it's Cyclades, number 4.
There you go.
And my previous number 4 was Scythe, by the way, so you reached my spot.
Very well.
So, yeah.
All right, moving on. Are we ready
Number
to move on?
3.
Number 3 is a game that I play, even today, I play a lot. Not as much as I used to, of course, because it's long and somewhat complicated.
Summoning Wars?
No, that one's not long or complicated.
No, just kidding.
This is a game that was at one time my number 1 game, and then it was overtaken by another one. But this is Twilight Struggle. Twilight Struggle is one of the best 2-player games out there, one of. And it's a fantastic struggle, there you see it's in the name, between 2 differently matched powers. Evenly matched in some ways, but it's almost a war game, but it's very subtle, and there's not really, the person who goes in guns a-blazing and performs coups every turn usually doesn't win.
Cold War.
It's a Cold War game, and it embodies the Cold War theme very well. There have been a couple other games that came out this last year that kind of tried to reinvent the Twilight Struggle in a shorter format, and although I enjoyed those, they didn't quite get me to where Twilight Struggle gets me. I just really like this game. It's a game that definitely rewards those who've played a few times.
Mm-hmm.
There, you can make some very critical mistakes and lose very quickly if you don't know what's coming. It's sort of, the deck is a constant, and so you know what's going to come, and that's sort of part of the strategy, is planning for certain events that are going to happen. You're just sort of trying to set yourself up in a way that they're not going to affect you negatively. It's an interesting game because you can have a hand full of your opponent's cards and think, I've got the worst hand ever, but that just means, of course, your opponent has a handful of yours. And so you're just trying to plan this and make small gains here and small gains there, and it satisfies me like few other games do. I love Twilight Struggle, and it is my number 3.
Yeah, that's the game that I will probably never kind of convince myself to try. Because I just don't feel like it's the theme for me.
It's a very thematic game. It's definitely, but if you're not interested in the Cold War era, then it's not going to be interesting to you. I mean, it's just
that's what I feel. So.
You really can't separate it from its theme.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is the 1989 version, but that version is good, but not as good because it has that weird mini game in the middle that just kind of interrupts the flow.
So, all right. So my number 3 is a game that also has a kind of a Cold War aspect in it.
CIA.
I know, but it's in a different way. It's more in a kind of an area control way. But also, I don't know about, of course, Twilight Struggle.
Twilight Struggle has a lot of area control.
Yeah, yeah. So this one is similar then, but in like earlier period of American history. So
An earlier Cold War.
Earlier Cold War, yes. Colder War. Anyway.
Ice Age.
Ice Age War. Ice War. Okay. So anyway, my number 3 is Empire's Age of Discovery. And it's a perfect match of
That has nothing to do with the Cold War at all.
But I mean, it has this aspect of it's not the Cold War, but it has the aspect of you're trying to control the areas, but you don't really fight.
Okay.
That's where I'm aiming for. Yeah,
okay.
That's where I'm aiming for. Yeah.
So by similar to Twilight Struggle, you meant nothing like Twilight Struggle.
Yes, nothing like
Okay.
Yeah. Just wanted to get this introduction, but yeah, that's how it is. Anyway, so Empire's Age of Discovery is an amazing worker placement game. And I call it a worker placement game, but it has a kind of an important portion of area control where you score quite a few points, a lot of points, to be honest. And this is one of those rare games where the different workers, and quite a few games have done it after that as well, where different workers are just, oh, you can go into this spot with that worker, but why? Just because, And here you have merchant who gives you money if you send him to New World. Captain explores the island, and so on, and the soldier fights for you, and so on. These are thematic workers, and they're different.
And the missionary converts.
Converts, yeah, and they do different stuff, and they do it thematically, and so it's an amazing. And it's an older style of worker placement where you plan all the worker spots ahead. That creates kind of a strategy, and sometimes you're like, I really want to go here. But if I won't go here, then the other person would put his worker here and get this building that I don't want him to get. So I'm gonna come here and stab a building because the buildings are cool. It's like an engine building as well. You get all those buildings, more workers as you go. You refresh your workers each time, and each time you'll have kind of a different set of workers for each round. It's just an amazing combination. It's an amazing hybrid game. I just love it to the bits, and each time I play it, I feel like I've accomplished something great. So
that's a game I don't play very often, but every time I do, I really enjoy it. So that's a good game.
An older title that kind of holds for me. So, and my previous one for number 3 was Escape Room Games Family, basically.
Okay.
All those different ones. So
very well.
Number 2.
My number 2 is my most played game every year nowadays. Slightly more played than my second most played game. It's a game that if I get in the mood to play it, I will leave it, I'll set it up, and I will play it again and again and again. It is a game that just tells stories. It is the most cinematic of games that I have. The game is, of course, Sentinels of the Multiverse. You've got now lots of different heroes, lots of different villains, lots of different combinations you can play, different environments. There's a completely separate mode where you've got this enormous bad guy that has, 10,000 hit points. And he feels impossible to beat, but you can beat him. It's a game about taking a hero or 2 or 3 and and making a team and playing off each other, about finding little exploits in the rules and exploiting them. It's a game where the right lever can move the world. It's that game. The stories are fantastic. The characters are interesting. They're different heroes than the ones you see on movies, although I really wish, there are times when I sit down and imagine the Sentinels of the Multiverse movie and imagine myself playing Baron Blade, even though I don't have the physique. I love this game, and I've got that huge box, you probably can't see it, but up behind me, that holds everything. The game is really done, although there's the Earth Prime version that's coming out eventually. That's supposed to be compatible, but it's made by a different company, although it's the same designer who consulted with it. But I really like this game, and it's the heroes that I want to see.
Yeah. I really like this game when I play this one. I play the base game basically. I remember we had quite a few expansions as well. Or like I remember all of these things.
Why not get them all?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and the negative side of that was just the bookkeeping of different things and minuses and pluses and whatever else. That was a nuisance.
Yeah, that is something. So that's one thing about the game. It came out with an app, and I like playing the physical version or the app, but the app taught me how to play the physical version.
Okay.
It taught me how the cards interact so that I can see them and I know. Because after you've played the game a time or two, you sort of know this card is going to do that and this card's in this deck. And even if there's, lots of different decks to play with, playing with the app and learning there will help you to play the game and to run the game on the table.
Yeah, I just never got attached to that game. But it's a really good game, to be honest. So
I certainly think so.
So my number 2 is a newer game. It's a 2019 game. It is in 2019, yes.
It's not Blackout Hong Kong.
No.
Okay.
No. What is it? Is it 2018? Anyway, I think it's a 2019 game. And this game is, I don't know, it's one of the most thematic games that I've played. The game that creates stories in my head all the time. I play it, I was like, and then after the play, month after that play, I will remember and I will tell the stories to other players, like to other people, like I've been into that movie or something. It's just an amazing storytelling game. It's Nemesis, and Nemesis isn't the storytelling game mechanically, but Nemesis is, as you call it, Ameritrash. Though I don't really want to use the Eurogame Ameritrash anymore. But it's Alien the board game, or Aliens the board game, whatever. You have aliens, you have your survivors on the ship, you explore the ship. I love exploring, as already mentioned before. So exploring the ship is great, finding the different rooms. And I like to play the cooperative variant, though you can play the other one, which reminds me of the winter, where you have kind of each one of you. You're not like, there's no traitor, but each one of you has kind of a like personal goal or something, and one of you might be the one who wants to blow up the ship, and because you don't want aliens to go to Earth, and another person is like, I want to save the ship and I must carry the intruders or aliens egg with me to the Mother Earth and so on. So, and you can play with those. You can play just cooperative mode where you can save each other as well from near death and things and so on. And it's just a great experience. And I told about the where I beat the alien queen with my bare fists, and I died after that. But I was like, it was a heroic death, and so it was great. And how I dragged another person through different rooms using the backfire for the aliens so I could escape. It just creates all the imaginary world there. And then I had to leave him. I was like, I don't care about you anymore because the aliens were surrounding me. So it was like I was a jerk just running away. And it just, yeah, it's an amazing game. I got the expansion as well. And I played with new not the factions, but new folks and like medic or the convict and CEO and so on. These are really cool, and they have also those special abilities now, and just added more stuff to Nemesis. So it just got even better, and yeah, each time I play it, it's amazing. It has a ton of rules, but every time I play it, I kind of, I get used to those tiny rules, so. Yeah. Love it to the bits. I know, it's just amazing.
This is a game that I just haven't tried. It looks interesting, but when I was looking at it when it was back on the Kickstarter, because I love the company, I love that publisher.
Yeah.
And I like most of the stuff they put out. I love Tainted Grail, for example. But I looked at it and it looked like exactly the kind of game that I would buy and love, but nobody would ever want to play with me. And so I just kind of sat that one out, and I'm kind of sad about that. Maybe I'll find it someday and try it and love it, but at least for now, it is a question mark for me. That was a question mark pointing to the head,
Oh, yeah.
not pointing to the poster.
Oh, yeah. So, but maybe it's on a cruise. Maybe there's at least the base game on the cruise.
Maybe.
Then we can try it out because it's an amazing game. Yeah. Now my number 2, Nemesis, and my previous number 2 was Empire's Age of Discovery, and you see how Nemesis has gotten in front of Empires. So
okay.
Yep. Let's go to the final one, number 1, and shockingly, your number 1 is
Tichu?
Tichu?
No. No, I hate that game.
Yeah.
My number 1 is the very big surprise to everyone, which is a game that I never talk about, and I hardly ever try and get anyone to play. It's a game I've really just read the rules. I haven't even played it. The game is, of course, Summoner Wars. Yeah. I have actually played Summoner Wars a lot of times. I have tracked my plays on it, and the number is astounding. I used to play test for it. It's a game that I have played with just about everyone I know. To some people's chagrin, I love the game so much. With the 40 different base decks that are in the box and the deck building, which is super simple, I just can't see myself getting tired of it. I mean, Unmatched, which I talked about earlier today, is kind of the same feel, but without but it doesn't quite come to where Summoner Wars is. It's a game that I can teach it super easily. I've taught it so many times. I can probably I can teach it better than any game I've got. I know all the decks pretty much by heart, but still, even if I play with somebody who's new, the person has a chance to do well and feel like he's doing a good job and making the deck sing. And usually games end up being close. Okay, occasionally there's, things go the wrong way for one player or the other, but I love how balanced everything is. You can take the deck that you think is super strong and put it against the deck that you think is super weak, but a person who knows how to leverage that will still win. It is, it doesn't take long. It's easy to know what the cards are because you can sort of, it's a fairly small deck that's a defined term. Mm-hmm. The game doesn't, it's probably half an hour even with new people. And I like how your units can be either the units or the magic. It's sort of the multi-use cards, which doesn't say that that's what they are, but it really is. I even enjoy the dice rolling because it adds a little bit of excitement, and you can have a wonderful plan that just goes so awry that it's tragic, or you can send up this one little wimpy goblin that goes up and survives for 5 turns and wins the day. I mean, it tells its own stories. I love Summoner Wars. I can't really say anything negative about it, other than that I don't get to play it as much as I'd like to. But it's definitely my number 1 game. It has been my number 1 game for a really long time, and I imagine it probably will be for a really long time. And I'm always, always, always in the mood to play it. And if anybody wants to play it with me, I'm here.
Yeah. So that's another game that I feel is good, but I've never got attached to that game, and that's the game that kind of needs repeated plays. Otherwise, it's not exciting. You just need to know the decks. You just need to.
I agree. It needs lots of repeated plays.
Yeah, but not with me. Sadly, not with me.
But I'm always in the mood for it.
Yeah. But if Cyclades wasn't my number 1, then what's my number 1 now? And that's a game you already talked about, and it's an engine building game yet again. I do love my engines. So it's Scythe.
All right, that's a game I like.
Scythe has finally reached my number 1 spot because of the Rise of Fenris expansion.
All right.
Rise of Fenris expansion, I played the campaign, and Rise of Fenris expansion adds very many different modules that all add to the gameplay. If I don't know if I should spoil that or not. If you feel like it's a spoiler, just skip 1 minute or something like that. Skip 1-2 minutes. But if you haven't played it still, then I don't know what to do about that. But anyway, sci-fi, that's new factions and those
What?
the special abilities to make your engine run faster and smoothly, you know, the machinery and things, and I really like that. With the sci-fi itself, I really like how you have to spread out and get more resources so you can get stuff from your mat out, and thus upgrading your mat and thus making yourself more powerful. And there's a conflict, and depends on the factions as well. I'm the Wind Gambit. When we played the campaign, we skipped Wind Gambit. Basically, we played one of the scenarios with Wind Gambit, and we realized that it's not worth it. Wind Gambit is not worth it. I don't like that much. It's okay. It's fine. Okay. The first expansion, 2 more factions. It's fine because it's 2 more factions. Why not to have extra factions?
And they were already on the board.
But what I like the most from the last expansion, spoiler yet again, I like the newest Vesna faction.
Oh, and I like the Fenris faction. So.
Oh, the Fenris faction I didn't like that much because it's too aggressive for me. But yeah, it's a matter of taste. That's where like having a plethora of different factions, you have 5 plus 2 from the expansion plus 2 new ones. You have 9, and I usually play with 3 max 4 players. So you have a lot of factions to use, and I would love to use Vesna all the time. I just love Vesna faction. That's just blow my mind. When I use Vesna faction, I was like, no, it's my favorite game. And it just, it just adds so many variable choices and the end game things now and how the game ends and so on with the expansion. It just makes it a perfect match, even more perfect than the previous ones that I talked about.
You know, the end game is sort of the one thing that I did like from Wind Gambit was those different end game conditions. I like those occasionally.
The ones that I can use still, yes.
It's
but I mean,
the airships that are just weird and don't really add a whole lot of fun to the game. But I like the
It makes you go faster, but now as you got the Fenris expansion, Rise of Fenris expansion, you have those different modules that you can get. You can get those upgrades, and
there's lots of ways to speed it up.
And so many upgrades for those mechs. It's just amazing. I just love that. An exploration thing. So, my number 1, finally. And my previous number 1, as I told before, was Cyclades. So, and that's it. That's it for the top 10 of all time. Kyle's, mine.
All right.
And
at least for another 2 years.
Yeah.
Although now we're in 2020, I've only got 1 year before I have to do it again.
Yeah.
I do it in odd numbered years.
Yeah.
But that's all right. I can put.
I usually do my top 10 once I try to do once a year. So
well, the top 10 I could do, but it's the top 100 that I only do once every other year because it takes a long time. Indeed.
So I skip that.
But when I tell people I'm going to go play games and people ask what's my favorite, I can show them my list.
True. Yeah. And this is a Würfel gas special. And...
You asked this question to be polite. Here's a 1-hour video.
Yeah. But but also we might have another Würfelcast special video. We'll see about that. We'll see how the cruise goes. Maybe we'll do something on the cruise as well. And then you'll see.
Or maybe we'll just play games on the cruise.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. Yeah. So I'm gonna post some pictures from the cruise after the cruise or during the cruise. We don't know. Anyway.
Not that kind of picture.
No.
Okay.
No. Some good pictures. Thank you for watching. We'll see you another time. It was fun. Finally, in the same video together.
A rare occurrence.
A rare occurrence. Last time was like 3 or 4 years ago in the board game camp. That was the last time.
Yeah, and I don't think we just recorded a little bits and pieces. I think I don't think we recorded.
We never recorded like a top 10 or something like that. So that's
well. Although we did all those videos together at Gen Con.
Oh, the that's the one. That was cool. That was cool. Yeah.
So it's been 2 years, but
maybe we should do it again. So all right. Thank you for watching one more time, and bye.
And play more Summoner Wars. Bye.
And Scythe. This channel is sponsored by Osprey Games. Check them out at ospreypublishing.com.